So I want to just start talking about engaging in habits that will positively affect every aspect of your life. And I know this because it's positively affected every aspect of my life and has caused me to be the person I am now, and that actually do last. They are realistic and they last. So if that's interesting to you, continue to watch this video. One thing I learned that I want to share with you guys is when I first started out in just self-improvement and trying to reach my purpose and trying to grow and trying to get better and seeing success stories, I noticed that when I started studying too many people that I was completely out of reach of and that were before my time, or that I just saw as at an unattainable level of achievement, though it was good to learn from their habits and learn from what they did and learn from what they're doing, if you don't take time to actually surround yourself with those who are doing it, those who you can build a relationship with, you will begin to separate those successful people from you. And it's so real, because the reason, I feel like definitely the reason people get analysis paralysis and the reason that people they have these dreams and they have all this knowledge but they don't go for it is because they study too many successful people that they never actually got to interact with. And that's the result of studying people too much that you will never know. Because even though you learn from them, even though it's a great thing to take away from, and if you are starting out, I do encourage you to study people that have been successful and people that are doing good in life. If you stay on that, you will stay in the same spot. So after a certain amount of time of studying those people, you have to start surrounding yourself with those sort of people. Start reaching out to people. Start reaching out to groups. Start putting yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable and that you feel unqualified to be in. Because when you start putting yourself in rooms with people and in situations with people that are where you want to be and that are doing what you're trying to do, or even just aspiring to do what you're trying to do, your mind will start to adjust with them, because we are the result of the people that we surround ourselves with. I noticed I didn't really have a schedule for myself. I didn't keep track of what I did when I first woke up in the morning or when I was going to sleep. I kind of just would be on my phone. I would be doing whatever caught my attention. Most times nothing productive, nothing positive. It wasn't necessarily negative, but it definitely wasn't positive. And so I decided to start shifting that. And in shifting that, guys, it changed my character and everything about the way I think and the way that I react and the way that my life is in so many ways, guys. So there are, I would say, 3 major things that I did. So one, this is just a prerequisite. I put my phone away from my bed, because the habits, we're going to talk about habit formation, but I put my phone out of reach of my bed because it became a habit for me to just turn over, grab my phone to check social media, to check my text messages, to check my emails, and to just start my day like that. But instead, I put the things beside my bed that I'm going to show you guys right now. So the first thing I do when I wake up is I have a gratitude journal. Now, this is talked about in a lot of videos and a lot of articles. You can look this up. There's a lot of studies on this. There's a lot of people testifying to this. But a gratitude journal is one of the best investments you can make for yourself. And I say investment, but it's not really an investment. I found this journal laying around in an old cabinet downstairs. Like, it's really old, and it's just, but I decided to give it a purpose and to actually invest time and invest my habits into doing this, because it shifts your mind from thinking about worries and thinking about comparing yourself to others and thinking about negativity and all the stress going on in your life to what's going on positive, to what are my actual blessings, to what am I doing that's really good that I don't take time to focus on or don't take time to praise myself for. And the reason that this is so important is because what you focus on grows. What you put What you pour into your life, it amplifies. Next thing I do is I read a chapter from this amazing book. This is the first book. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. So I say a chapter, but a chapter, I highlight some. A chapter is only like a page, 2 pages long. Actually, really like a page. It's not long. And this is so important because every lesson, they're all lessons. Every lesson in this book, and I picked this book up from the thrift store for like 80 cents. Every lesson in this book will literally help you to become so much more of a better person and of the person that you aspire to be. This will help to change your habits, help to change your mentalities about people, about the world around you, about life, about anything that you may be going through. I guarantee this book addresses. So investing time to get a journal and investing in this book, you could find it anywhere where books are sold. This is such an advertisement. It will change your life. And then lastly, what I do, I focus on my spirituality. So I do then read the Bible, and I have a journal called Me and God, where I write to God, or write about spiritually how I have improved and what I am doing better. So the next thing outside of morning habits and just noticing our habits in general is our mindset. So our brain is the most powerful supercomputer that we have access to. Our brain can literally create any reality we want it to, and we can do literally anything we want to when we set our mind to it. So the first thing I did that I saw as impossible, but I decided to make the impossible possible, is I taught myself to solve a Rubik's Cube. And the reason that I started with this challenge for myself is because I saw on a Will Smith movie him solve it. And my family and I engaged in a conversation like, wow, like nobody can solve that, it's impossible, blah, 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 or just things of that nature. So I decided to tell myself that I can solve this. I do know how to do this. I am capable. And so I sat down and I would literally tell myself every day, I can do this. I can solve this. If I invest in this, I can do it. And now I can solve it with no problem, with ease. But it started with the mentality of it being possible. So the next step in transforming our lives is eliminating the words that I can't, because your brain is literally obedient to you. And when you say I can't, when you say it's impossible, you literally put your brain to sleep. It doesn't have to think anymore about what it is capable of doing or what you are trying to do that may be bigger than yourself in the moment, but it is reachable. But when you say I can't do that right now, but I will be able to do it, you completely change not only the situation, but you change your mind, because your mind is listening to you and your mind is ultimately obedient to you. And you make it where anything is within your reach, anything is possible for you. And that can be a very realistic and achievable reality. And lastly is reading. Guys, reading is so important. And I'm gonna be real, I didn't even really read a full-on book. When I say read a full-on book, I mean a book that spoke to self-improvement and me changing myself and improving myself mentally and spiritually and just for growth outside of what I was required to read. I didn't read an unrequired book until I was 22 years old, and it's so sad. I know. I even got through college without fully just reading for enjoyment. But when I started to read, it completely changed every aspect of my life. And the reason I look back to what really got me started, the reason that I started to read is because I had an internship at Chick-fil-A, and I was working, I knew the franchise owner personally, and it was for the summer. I was working there and I was taking 2 other classes. So he gave me, I think, 10 books to read in a matter of like 9 weeks. It was something that initially I looked at as unrealistic, because they weren't thin books. They were like thick, like chapter books And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. But he sat me down and he told me that you can do whatever you set your mind to. You are capable of this. I believe in you. You can do this. And that completely transformed me, guys. And I want to be that to someone. So you're capable of improving, you're capable of living the best life that you can, you're capable of being the very best person that you probably can't even imagine right now, but you are capable of becoming whatever your wildest dreams have showed you. And it's all within you when you start to believe in yourself and when you have people around you that believe in you. So let me be the first person to tell you that you can do it. So now we're going to go on to the books. So like we said, starting with small, realistic steps. So the first book I would suggest is The Butterfly Effect. It sounds girly, I know, but it's so dynamic. It's by one of my favorite authors, Andy Andrews. He wrote another book that I'm going to show you guys. But this book is so profound and talking about purpose, how your life matters. It's so interesting. It has beautiful illustrations and it teaches you really good, it's history lessons in here, it's philosophical lessons in here, and it's just really amazing. I would suggest if you're going to start by reading this book. Next one is called You Are Special. Now I know this looks like a children's book. It sounds corny, like something you would read to your child before you go to bed if you have one. I don't have one, but something I would read to a niece or nephew before they go to bed. But this book, guys, it's illustrated like a kid's book, but it's really written for adults. Like, I don't even think children would be able to fully comprehend the things spoken about in this book. I read this book periodically, maybe like once every couple months, just because the lessons in it are that good and that dynamic that sometimes I need to remind myself and I need to read it just to stay where I am. So You Are Special. If you are looking for something to just get you on a good mind path and to get you reading, either this You Are Special or The Butterfly Effect. The next book, this book, The Compund Effect, is one of the most dynamic, amazing books I have ever read. It's jumpstarts your income, your life, and your success, but really it's talking about mindset to doing it. It's talking about taking the first small steps and learning to become the person that you want to be. If you want to start really looking at your life in a way that's purposeful and building up steps to do it, I would suggest this book. I read this book. I will reread this book. Yeah. And guys, all these books I'm showing you, I have not only read, but I reread constantly and periodically, just because they're that dynamic, they're that important, and they're that good. The next one is my all-time personal favorite book for enjoyment. It's called The Traveler's Gift. Like I said, it's by my favorite author, Andy Andrews. This book literally reads like a movie. Like, if you like watching movies, I would suggest reading this book. It talks about the 7 decisions that determines personal success, but it's about a character who is going through a personal hard time in his life, and he travels in time and he's sent to 7 different characters, and he encounters different things and learns different lessons on the way. But honestly, when I first read this book, it made me cry. It was that good, guys, so just pick it up, it's good. Last 2. So, As a Man Thinketh is, if you don't read any other book that I've suggested to you, other than the first 3, read this book. This book, it's not an easy read. It's the type of book that I would suggest reading with a dictionary. What I do is just define the words at the bottom. But this book is so worth dissecting and rereading, because everything that I have learned about my mindset and improving my mindset is literally from this book. Guys, please invest in this book. It will change your life. You will thank me later. Financially, if you want to start to think about finances different and see yourself and your financial situation in a completely different way, and if you have not already read it, because it is a world famous book, please read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Millions of people have read this book. There's not one financially successful person who I know who has not suggested this book. Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the most dynamic books in American history. This is not even just me, this is everybody. If you haven't read this book, please read this book. It completely changed my life in terms of the way I think about finances, the way I think about where I'm gonna go in my financial future. Please read it. It is worth the read. Rich Dad Poor Dad. And finally, this is a bonus book, but it's just personal. My personal reason for even having the self-contact workshop and becoming the person I am today is because of the book The Dream Giver. It's so inspiring. It's so amazing. Honestly, from reading this book, it was so good I read it in 2 days, but from reading this book, I became the person that I am meant to be. So when I say reading books can literally give you your purpose, it's real, guys. Like, please don't just see this as me just spitting books at you and just like saying things that I don't know about. I'm personally living this. Reading is so fundamental. It will literally change everything about who you are. So I hope I was able to inspire you or trigger some action just a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that the product of this video is you changing for the better and just becoming a more positive, a more purposeful person. So thank you so much for watching. Please like or subscribe if this helped you in any way or resonated with you in any way and you have already read and loved some of the books, or you're going to pick up some of the books, and let me know. The point of this is contacting with you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. Have an amazing day or night, and